oil painting on canvas by the Dutch artist Vincent van Gogh is a self-portrait. It was painted in Saint-Rémy in 1889. Vincent van Gogh painted over 30 self-portraits. He did not have money to pay models, nor did he get many commissioned portraits. Van Gogh believed that portrait painting would help him develop his skills as an artist. In a letter to his brother Theo, Van Gogh writes about a self-portrait he had dedicated to his friend and fellow artist Paul Gauguin, quote, "The third picture this week is a portrait of myself, almost colorless, in ashen tones against a background of pale Veronese green. I purposely bought a mirror good enough to enable me to work from my image in default of a model, because if I can manage to paint the coloring of my own head, which is not to be done without some difficulty, I shall likewise be able to paint the heads of other good souls, men and women." Our Van Gogh self-portrait is around 25 by 21 inches. The original can be seen at the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. Some in the U.S. pronounce this artist's name as Van Gogh. In the Netherlands, you would say Vincent van Gogh. The Flying Dutchman is by illustrator-author Howard Pyle. It is large at 6 feet by 4 feet, was painted in 1900 with oil on canvas, and currently resides at the Delaware Art Museum. The picture appeared in Howard Pyle's Book of Pirates, published in 1921. The legend of the Flying Dutchman dates back to the 18th century. It is said to be a ghost ship which must sail the seas forever, citing it for Tale's doom. The ship features in several of Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean films. In the age of print media, Pyle's illustrations got national exposure in many of the day's most popular magazines, while he himself stayed mostly behind the scenes. He shaped America's imagination, not only with his own work, but that of many successful students, for example, N.C. Wyeth. Pyle painted from costumed models, in contrast to Norman Rockwell, who used photographs. Norman Rockwell called Pyle his, quote, hero, and Vincent van Gogh said he was, quote, struck with admiration for his work. Rain is an oil and charcoal work on canvas located today in the Peggy Guggenheim collection in Venice. At 34 by 42 inches, it was created by Marc Chagall in 1911, 1 year after he moved to Paris from Russia. In Rain, Chagall melds his homesickness for Russian Jewish life with the exciting new techniques he had learned in Paris into a style known as neo-primitivism. Using motifs from the shtetl when every other modern Jewish artist was trying to escape it was in itself revolutionary. The colors here are inspired by Matisse and Robert Delaunay, while the roof of the house and left foreground show Cubist influences. Hallmarks of Chagall's work are the non-naturalistic color of the horse and the floating figures of the man and goat. Chagall refused to identify his symbolism, but the floating figures may represent the connection between heaven and earth, whereas the goat itself is associated with the Jewish Day of Atonement, or Yom Kippur. This is a black and white photograph from around the 1920s. The car is most likely a 1920s Duesenberg race car named Bunny 3. The many circles in this photography give a basis of comparison to Sonia Delaunay's painting, Rhythm. There are 3 modes of transportation depicted: the bicycle in the foreground, the car in the middle ground, and the walking man in the background. 2 of the men are wearing bowler hats, and one appears to have a type of fedora. Hats were very popular in the 1920s, and almost every man would sport a hat no matter what the occasion. Interesting fact, a bottle of Coca-Cola cost 5 cents in the 1920s. Black and white photography has been in wide use since the 1840s. Although color photography had been commercially available for several decades by the 1920s, it was not feasible for the average person. Black and white photography shows shades of gray and is completely dependent on light.